I got a question for you, gentlemen.
Oh, okay.
I was just thinking, going through Twitter and out here, just seeing what people are talking about in YouTube space. And the conversation about dating women with children came up. So, both of y'all did the exact same thing. You looked away. What's this energy about?
I didn't look away.
You did look away.
I didn't look away.
You did. What did you do?
I looked at the target.
Oh, you looked at him. Well, this is a conversation for all of us.
Who else in here is going to date women with kids?
Well, you're dating a woman with kids, right?
Here you go with your nuance. Yes, I'm dating my baby mama. Who cares? But you know what I mean.
Sure. But it's a conversation for all of us to join because we all have a perspective, right? Aren't we black men?
Let's have it. I love this, Walker.
Are we black men?
We are. Bring me more of this.
Okay. Just want to know your thoughts on, because I have a few
questions. Who's going first?
The guy who's single. What are your thoughts on dating?
Let me turn your mic up, Black.
Is that a third face that's coming up on the logo?
Well, I can honestly say I have thought about that situation, and what I lean more towards is if I'm going to date someone that has kids, my preference would be that the kids would be older.
What's older?
Like at least like maybe in high school, on their way to college, preferably in college or just they're adults at this point.
So past their formative years.
Yes.
So
I would want the least amount of time with, I guess, at I guess when they're younger, you still have to deal with the father a lot.
Assuming he's in the picture.
Yeah. So I would prefer like the kids would be as old as possible and as few kids as possible. That's also.
Do you want so what's the cap in terms of kids?
The sweet spot would be 2 or less.
Okay.
And I would say maybe like 14 and up.
Oh, so not even 13.
14, you're probably 8th grade, probably going into high school.
Okay. So in terms of relationship, are you really interested in a real relationship? Because you still gonna have to do some. Okay, what does it realistically what it would look like for you in terms of responsibility for these kids? Let's say if you're dating and it's serious, right? Are you still hands off?
Initially, I'm gonna probably try to be as hands off as possible.
Okay,
and then I guess if we get closer and the relationship grows more, maybe I guess follow their lead because they would probably still have a father in the picture.
Ideally.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Hey, sorry to cut you off. Would it change your perspective if there was no man in the picture? Let's say their father was deadbeat. Would that change your attitude about the relationship in general? Because you would be the rare male father figure that comes into their life.
Yeah, that one I would feel like I have more responsibility as far as the child if I came into a situation like that.
Okay.
So
ideally you would want it to be a situation where
I'm not needed as much. That would be ideal for me. It's like the father is in the picture. They have a good relationship. I'm there primarily for the woman to support her.
Okay.
Because they have a good working relationship and the kids are taken care of. That would be ideal.
Right. Okay.
But if I have to, I don't have a problem sort of taking some of the pressure and the burden off of her.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm only going to do as much as she allows me to do. Like you're going to drive everything as far as the kids are concerned. and I'm gonna follow your lead
on that. Okay, what if it gets serious? Like it gets serious. Like she's dope. Is this something that you think she would probably revisit with you in terms of like your approach to her children?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be open to it. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna go and just like approach it like one way. I'm gonna like to have to adapt to the situation.
Sure,
I'm gonna be open to it.
But you're starting off
I'm gonna be very conservative starting off.
Hands off. Yeah. Okay, and deferring to her until it gets serious and y'all have to revisit what it looks like realistically with you in the picture.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. What are your thoughts about that, Gatry?
Bring me the kids. I'm in.
So single, let's go to hypothetical land. Single Gatry, no kids, no ring, none of that. Okay. You meet a woman with kids, it don't matter how many.
I'm in. I love kids, dude.
Okay.
Bring them to me. Now, my approach, I'm not sure if it'll work or not though. But we're basing this on the premise that I'm getting serious about this woman.
Sure, you're not casually dating a woman. Yeah.
Out of respect to the father of the children, which I have a lot of respect for that, I'm going to try my best I'm going to go extra to be in a good space with him. I'm going to make that a priority.
Okay.
Simply because I value fatherhood.
Keep going.
So I'm going to make it a priority to be in a good space with him. I'm going to discuss this with the woman so everybody knows, right? But in terms of like how I deal with the kids, they're getting all the love I have to provide.
Okay. From day one.
Oh, yeah. Day one.
So let me ask you this. What if, same question I asked him, what if it's a situation where it's not a good relationship between her and the children's father?
Still, nothing changes.
Okay.
My attempts to be in a good space with him are still going to be paramount.
I'm just
no, this is good.
Hypothetical. What if you're unable to get that from him?
Then it's not going to change the love I have for the kids.
Sure.
It's not going to change the love I have for her. But if that is unattainable, then I'll move on to the next rung in the ladder, which is providing my best for the children.
Okay. Is there a cap on the number of kids? What if she has 3?
3, you
can what?
I can rock with 3.
4?
No,
4?
No. Things change. I don't know why, but some about 4 going from.
Everyone has a limit.
I get it.
I just want
going from 3 to 4 gets real for me, so I'm gonna say no to 4. 4 kids, I'm gonna say no.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. Okay. Does it matter the circumstances by which she got the kids? Is that irrelevant?
For me, it is. This is hard for me.
If she has 3 kids and they have 3 different baby daddies, that's something different right there.
Okay.
Is that a red flag?
Why is that?
Yes.
Why is that? Okay, it would be a red flag for me. It would definitely be a red flag for me. It's 2. I'm like,
But 2, you're like maybe.
No, 2.
Maybe.
I'm like,
you haven't.
2. I'm questioning her judgment.
Okay.
No.
But you're not waving the red flag at 2.
If it's 2 different baby daddies,
different baby daddies, you're not necessarily waving it, but you're preparing it.
If it's 2 different baby daddies, I got 2 of them in my hand. I'm waving. You know how the football players come out on the field with the flag? I'm running with the red flag.
Okay. I read that.
2 different ones? 2 different baby? Yes. Like, okay.
But one baby daddy?
If you're coming out of a divorce, different.
Oh, I see.
If you're coming out of a divorce,
I see how you're approaching this
different.
Now. Okay.
That's a completely different ball game. I get it. Sometimes the relationship doesn't work. I understand that, right? Children were birthed out of that. Was supposed to be a loving commitment, union. Didn't work out. That happens. I'm not going to punish a woman based off of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's different. But if you out here,
Wilder.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just taking deposits. So it's just, I'm like,
Jeez, Walker.
what?
I mean, we're there.
I'm looking at her differently in that regard. I really am. I'm looking at her differently from that standpoint. Question? You're thinking, you're processing.
You said if it's divorce, cool, that happens. If it's one baby daddy, that's when your first red flag comes up?
If it's one,
Yeah.
You gotta have one.
you gotta have
Well,
one.
yeah, you'll have one. Okay.
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
No,
I told
baby
you my
daddy,
I told you my numbers are off.
Okay. No. She couldn't have it.
Here he goes.
What if she's She adopts.
Yeah, I've seen some women.
Which is a
my
realistic scenario.
she could adopt.
Well, I think we're all in agreement
adopt.
here. If she's adopted a kid, she's in. That's easy. That's easy. That's easier than divorce.
Okay, help me out here, guys. Help me out here. If I met a woman who's single and adopted kids, I thinking that I met a woman who gave up early.
It depends on her age. It depends on her age because I've seen women.
In an age where she can have kids.
I mean, there are women.
What's so funny? I ain't talking about,
Yeah. I see. I see where you're going.
Eggs like the one I threw in the trash for trash day. I ain't talking about those. No, I'm talking about she can have children. She's at the childbearing age, and she got adopted children, and she's single.
Because she couldn't get a man.
Am I
She
looking
give
at a
up.
woman who gave up?
Okay.
You are.
Thank you.
Now let's see what Black says. I'm just gonna go ahead and answer it. I'm gonna go ahead and answer it.
I've seen women who graduated like around the time I graduated. They just like they can find the man, so they've adopted.
What you waiting on? What you need them to do? What you waiting on?
They couldn't find a man, so did they keep looking or did they punt?
Well, I don't. It's hard to say.
They going for it? What they doing?
I don't know. I just know
They put it on third down. I don't even want to try no more.
I just see situations where like I guess relationships were unsuccessful for them, but so they
Answer it.
I guess a child was more important than trying to get that relationship to have the child.
Can I
That's
go?
a thing, though. That's a thing.
You let me know when you let me go.
Go.
Cause I see where you're going.
That's a thing, though. I can't knock that because that's a thing in our community. By the way,
Say it again, cause I halfway listened.
because you didn't hear what you wanted to hear.
Right.
Okay.
Now just saying how
There are women who actually have prioritized having a child above getting married.
Okay. Having a child.
being a mother.
Okay, about to say, are we stepping out of context of adoption here?
Being a
And
mother.
giving up. Are we still there, or have we moved
okay,
on?
let me rephrase it. There are women who have prioritized motherhood ahead of being a wife.
Okay. I'll give y'all that.
You're not giving us anything. It's the truth.
Okay, that's true.
That's the truth, bro.
Can we go back to punting on third down?
Now, back to what you were saying. You about to say something.
Naturally, given a straight female, there is an innate desire to meet Prince Charming and to eventually have kids. This is a natural need for, I would say, most straight women.
Generally speaking, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, back to you, Black. Considering that, if she has decided to adopt after trying to go by natural order, she's given up.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Okay.
Back to you, Walker.
That was a sidebar. I didn't get.
How was that a sidebar?
I mentioned.
I'm trying to answer. I'm trying to bring the answer out of him.
I'm not criticizing that. I'm just saying.
okay.
I mentioned.
Turn me down.
I mentioned adoption. That was a sidebar. So getting back to the subject
Sorry.
is
Turn me down for real.
Can we? So getting back to for me, I'll be honest, at my age, it's really one for me. It's really one. Like, if you have one, I'm cool. You ain't got to be married even.
No flags.
None.
Not even a yellow.
No. Well, of course, if I'm dating her, and my thing is too, if I'm dating you, I'm vetting you out, right?
Yeah.
So
especially you.
Go ahead. I know you're proud of yourself. High five yourself. I know you're proud. Yeah. I know you feel good about
I've been waiting a long time.
That was a good one. There are certain questions I am going to ask. I think I struggle with, do I want the child to already be a teenager? Right? And I'm curious as to the relationship she has with her child. How does she discipline the child? Okay, if we get serious, am I going to be allowed to discipline the child?
This is real rap, Walker.
Right? Because especially if the child, if I'm committed to you, I'm committed to this child, and I see this child mouthing off to you, talking back to you, disrespecting you. Okay, what is your expectation for me stepping in and setting that child straight? Because there are women, again, if it's just been you and that child for however long, that's an adjustment for you to see someone else discipline that child, because it's a good chance they're going to do it differently than you would. So that's something, like, to me, I'm like, I need to know where you are on that. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you're looking at me as two roles. I'm looking at you primarily as just one. I'm looking at you as a wife. Of course, I'm observing you and your mother, but these aren't my children, right? You're looking at me as potential husband and a potential father, stepfather to these children, right? So when I talk about expectations, that's a serious conversation, because it's magnified on my end, right?
Right.
So these are like, so when you throw more kids into the mix, kids are different. You know about that all too well. So it's just it compounds, right? So you got to discipline this child a little bit differently than this one. And mind you, I have no experience, right? If I don't have kids,
but you're good here, yeah.
Sure,
right.
But what I'm saying is these are things that have to be discussed.
Yeah,
like me jumping all up in there, I'm like, and what's that situation with that baby dad like? It is a red flag if he's non-existent. Usually guys are like, if he's not around, that's good. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Right, because that child needs.
You don't know. There are I think therapy needs to start at an early age for people.
Bring this to me. Bring it to me, Walker.
They need to start at especially if you are coming up in a not so ideal scenario. You don't know what kind of trauma those kids have experienced. So I don't know what I'm walking into with that. So that's why I'm slow to just throw myself into a situation with, as a child, I don't know what I'm dealing with that she has either overlooked, don't even know what's going on, or whatever.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why for me, I'm slow to just throw myself in there. Now, as I get older, of course, I mean, I'm married. It's not a concern. But I'm just saying, if I was dating, I have to understand the older I get, the likelihood of me meeting someone with a child increases, right? Unless I'm going to date at a certain age, right? What?
I mean, you could pull it off better than I could. You got locks.
There's some baldies in their 20s.
That's true.
Yeah. So that's all I'm saying. So let me ask you guys this. Do you think that society shuns men for not wanting to date a woman with kids?
Yes.
Why you say that?
Because, I mean, this is just my opinion. We all want to feel sorry for the woman. Socially, right?
Okay.
So if I'm a man here not considering a woman with a kid,
Then what?
then I'm not. I don't have any empathy for that woman. I'm not being understanding of the situation the woman's in.
Sure.
I'm the bad guy.
Really?
Right.
Do you agree with that?
No.
Okay.
I'm giving you my opinion of the social landscape.
Fair enough.
Could you repeat the question? I got lost following him.
For men to sit and talk about what they want in a woman, and let's say they say, I don't really want to deal with a woman's kids that she's had by another man, right? How does society look at men who says, I don't want really no parts of that? Or men who's like, I deal with one, but you know what I mean? Like how is the reception towards men who aren't on that wave?
I think it kind of depends on the group of people. Because, like, I think if you're more religious or a Christian, they wouldn't have a problem with, like, dating a woman that has kids. Like, that's something, I mean, I don't think they would have a problem with it. But once you get out, like, outside the church into society in general, they may be less accepting of it.
Some folks in church was like,
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying, though.
It all depends on, like, that person. To me, it's like the person's belief systems. Like, depends on, like, I guess, just like religion. Like, religion, more people are more sympathetic to people in certain situations, where in, like, society in general, they may be like, that's your problem, you deal with it.
Yeah. I know in some, like, we listen to a lot of similar content creators, and some of them are a little anti-dating women with kids. And I think a lot of it is perceived as rewarding unacceptable behavior. I'm using air quotes here. I don't necessarily agree with that in a sense. I understand what they're getting at, because there's a great discussion being had in those listening amongst men, where men are asking themselves, okay, I know what's required of me as a man, but what do I get in return for what I'm bringing into this relationship? I'm going to be an immediate stepdad. I'm going to be husband to you, right? I'm going to have to provide for these kids. Okay, so what's in it for me? And so it's difficult to quantify that in some conversations. So a lot of guys said, well, why don't I just start my own family with someone who doesn't have kids?
Yeah,
now,
it's the easier route for sure.
Sure. And I think at the end of the day, it's preference, right? Because, I mean, I've met some dope females who had a kid, you know what I mean, who got married and living happily ever after.
Right.
So I think it's a matter of preference. I think it's silly to knock people for doing that. I think that's silly, just because you meet someone and that person's a good fit for you. They have a kid. If you've counted the cost, because you got to count the cost whether they got a kid or not.
True.
If you count the cost and you like, man, this is really an addition. This isn't really, you know what I mean? You know, especially if you developed a relationship, the kids, good kids, the whole nine, like you ain't sweating on that. Go for it. Do your thing. I just think you just need to evaluate and count the cost before you jump in there, because again, this was a situation that was set in place before you even showed up. So it's on you to understand it, to determine if you want to commit yourself to that.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
To add to that question, to put some sauce on it, that's societal standards or societal expectations or whatever. What about interculturally? Talking black man to black man.
Okay.
Socially, how is that received in your opinion?
amongst black men.
Yeah, you and I are friends, and hey Walker, I met this girl. She got a kid.
It's a hot.
You about to handle somebody else's seed? You about to handle another dude's seed?
That's a good question. Gatry. It varies. It varies.
That's a maturity thing, number one.
Yeah, it varies because I'm hearing different things. Some guys are being called simps for getting serious with a woman who has a child because, man, you raising someone else's seed, da. And I think a lot of it is we hear other people's conversations and adopt them as our own. You know what I mean? And a lot of it's coming from people, like a Kevin Samuels, who, to his credit, he's taught he in what he does. He's an image consultant, and he works with a lot of different people, a lot of people who make a lot of money, successful, the whole nine. And he's hearing conversations with these single men, and he's hearing some of the things that they're saying, right? So if I'm a doctor, if I'm a surgeon, if I'm a lawyer, if I'm, you know what I mean, I'm probably not going to want a woman who has her own family because I already got my own kingdom going on here, right?
Right.
And so what happens is, if I work at the auto place and I'm hearing that, I'm thinking, yeah, I don't want no woman, no kids either. Well,
you're not on that level.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's okay for Deontay the mechanic though,
if that's his preference. But my thing is, the problem is we get into knocking other men who it's not a big deal to them.
Regardless of the socioeconomic status.
Regardless of it.
Okay.
I think that's where it gets. That's where I'm not with that.
You're not a fan of that.
I'm not a fan of that part.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, if that dude has done his due diligence and the woman is a good woman, then what's the problem?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think at the end of the day, I think it'll be unfortunate if a guy gets into that situation and he's miserable because there's the kids are unruly. She let them do whatever. She don't want me to discipline them. Then I gotta provide for these kids. I gotta do all this stuff, and they won't listen to her. They don't want to halfway respect me.
That's
that
a problem.
Type of stuff.
That's several problems.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, as long as you count the cost, man, hey, and if it's all checks out, all systems go, do you the one got to be in a relationship, not me. So I'm not finna throw dirt on with your situation if it's all good to you. Hopefully you've done your homework.
Right.
That's all I got to say there. But
Gotcha.
No, that's a great question. It's a mixture. Some guys don't care, whatever. Hope it works out. Other guys, there is a part amongst our community of men where we are starting to knock that because we're hearing a certain message that's packaged for a select group of men.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, you have to look at your own situation.
True.
And sometimes just take a strong look at where you are and the people that you hang around.
Mm.
And if that's what your situation, like the people you're around, maybe you in a situation where maybe you go to church and there are a lot of single women there with kids, and they're probably good women. So why not?
Right.
Okay.
Good talk, right?
Yeah. So it's just concluding, we at the tipping point endorse any black man that wants to date a woman with kids.
Any woman with kids.
I'm joking.
Tipping Point Podcast.